What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as J Monster, and thank you for joining me for another replay battle. This one is a 4 versus 4 free-for-all on 3rd Age Reforged, and it is a bloody affair. There's 4 high-tier armies here. This is a huge money battle. They're going to be going at each other, and the result is going to be catastrophic for everyone involved. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. So, as usual, we're going to take a look at the army compositions before we jump into the battle. The first army is the army of Isengard, being commanded by Stefan 2110, and he's got 2 units of Uruk-hai archers, a couple units of Uruk-hai pikemen, and 1 unit of Snaga skirmishers to make that pike wall just a little bit more fearsome. He's got a couple units of Uruk-hai crossbows, because who doesn't love AP missiles? Everyone does. He's also got a unit of Wardens of Dunland, 1 unit of Guards of the Orthanc, a unit of Uruk-hai bodyguards, 4 units of Uruk-hai infantry, 1 unit of Champions of the White Hand, a couple units of Warg Riders, 1 unit of Trolls of the White Hand, alongside a unit of Berserkers and some Nazgai. Because who doesn't love the Nazgai? Look at these guys looking very fearsome in that heavy plate armor with those two-handed Berserker swords. This is incidentally where his general is hanging out. So altogether, this is a very nicely balanced force. And a lot of the armies in this are very well balanced. And I'll show you guys exactly why in just a moment here. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the High Elves being commanded by Doc Holliday. He's got a couple units of cavalry here, 1 unit of Eldaruan Nobles, and 1 unit of Imladris Cav. These guys are very deadly on the charge, although I find that they do not stand up very well in a prolonged melee, especially the Imladris Cavalry. These guys are Lancers primarily, so you want to keep them moving on the go for as long as possible and get as many charges out of them as you can before they evaporate, essentially. He's also got 3 units of Eldaruan Way Spearmen, 2 units of Imladris Guards. These guys are devastating from the front and heavily armored enough to stand up to missile fire for at least a little while, although they do tend to fall apart in the face of AP missiles. He's also got 3 units of Noritanian Warriors. Speaking of AP missiles, these guys are very cost-effective. I think they only cost about 650 florins, and they are AP themselves. So a very worthy pick for any High Elven force if you're trying to bring some impressive infantry, which is what Doc Holliday has here. Speaking of impressive infantry, he's got a unit of Phallus Lords. These guys are 6 HP, 86 defense, actually, and very hard to break. They can actually stand up to ballista bolts, if you can believe it, which is a boast that very few units in Reforged can make. He's also got 3 units of Mithlond Nobles, 1 unit of Catapults, a unit of Smiths of Argent to bring a little bit of AP amongst his force, because his infantry is sorely lacking in AP. It looks like more of a holding force to me. And that's pretty well it for the High Elves. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the army of Rhûn. And this is a beautiful army. This is the kind of army that can do well in just about any kind of theater of war. Be it defensive or on the charge, this is definitely a force to be feared. And this is being commanded by Rules 1, by the way. He's got 2 units of Area Cataphracts, 1 unit of Brotherhood of the Lance, 4, I believe, units of Clan Crossbows, 2 units of Loke Scion Rim, 4 units, I believe, of Loke Flag Rim, 2 units of Clan Guard to add a little bit of extra AP/anti-cavalry punch to his army, a unit of Brotherhood of the Axe, who are, they're 2-handed AP shock troops, and they're exactly what you'd expect. They also have 2 HP and heavy armor, so they're very hard to deal with. He's also got 1 catapult, some Balkov tribesmen, because everyone loves javelins, and that's pretty well it for his force. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at the final army here, this being the forces of Gondor, commanded by Predameister. He's got 2 units of Swan Knights, a unit of Haven Guard, 1 unit of Coastal Wardens, 1 unit of Axemen of Lasarnak. These guys are very cost-effective. I think they only cost like 300, 400 florins. They are AP and anti-cavalry, definitely worth it on the charge, or if you're using them to support another unit, say another cavalry unit, or a battle line against cavalry. He's also got a catapult, 1 unit of General's Bodyguard here, bringing his total cav count up to 3. So it's fairly respectable. 3 cav is definitely something to be feared. He's also got some Gondor Spearmen, some Gondor Infantry, some Nimrod Rangers, some Ithilien Rangers are hanging out here somewhere. Oh yeah, there they are, right over there on the other flank. A unit of Guards of Osgiliath, and a couple units of Dol Amroth Men-at-Arms. So it's a pretty nice force. I don't know if I mentioned the catapult already, but obviously there's a catapult right here. You guys can see it. But yeah, really nice armies all around. Very high tier, very expensive. But that does it for the army composition. So let's go ahead and let's check out the battle. So we're going to slow things down just a little bit in a few moments here, because there's a ton of stuff that happens all over the battlefield at the same time, and I want to cover as much ground as possible. But in the meantime, look at this. A huge charge coming forth from Rules. He's bringing forward his entire cavalry force here to menace the Gondorians, who were trying to fall back. I think he's really capitalizing on Gondor being in disarray right here. So Gondor really doesn't have a whole lot of options at this point. He's got some cataphracts now who are about to be breathing down the neck of 2 of his very important units. His Dol Amroth Men-at-Arms are much better. They're an improved version, essentially, of the Gondor Men-at-Arms, and he doesn't really have anything in the area to help shut them down. If he pulls back too many forces here, he won't be able to defend the rest of his very vulnerable backline here, his Coastal Wardens, and his Catapult as well. But at the same time, he's trying to bring up a unit of his Gondor Swan Knights. And look at this. This is so unfortunate. He put down some what do you call these? Pikes or something like that earlier. One of the deployables that he had on his archers. And unfortunately, a few of his Swan Knights are going to get caught on it and take some early casualties there. A little bit of friendly fire. So things not getting off to a great start for Gondor, who is now taking a big flank charge here with this unit of Swan Knights from 2 units of Very Cataphracts. These guys are going to cut up these Swan Knights. These Swan Knights are very nice cavalry, but they're just not able to stand up to that. At the same time, Rules is using his Brotherhood of the Lance to charge in to the Nirmalel Rangers. These are a very elite, very important unit, and they've taken a ton of casualties right here. They just cut through those poor guys. The Gondorian Cav not able to arrive in time to trap these Brotherhood of the Lance between the advance of these Gondor Spearmen, and unfortunately they're going to be able to get away. And I think not having taken very many casualties in return, only about 1 of the Cataphracts, I think, fell in that. So now the Brotherhood of the Lance is going to take this opportunity to charge into the rear of these Very-Eyed Cataphracts. Or not these Very-Eyed Cataphracts, but these Swan Knights who are engaged with the Very-Eyed Cataphracts. There's a unit of Dolian Rothman Arms who are moving in to try and support them, but these Swan Knights are just not going to be able to get out of there in time, and are going to take a huge charge and a ton of casualties at the same time. And those Brotherhood of the Lancers are going to be able to, I think, to just run right through them and escape very quickly. And now, oh no, this could be absolutely disastrous if he's not careful. But the rest of the Very Cataphracts now peeling off, looking to take on this fairly healthy unit here of Swan Knights before they can come to the aid of their brothers over on this side. So Rule's doing a really nice job here of microing his cav and keeping the Gondorians busy in many places and looking for weak points, creating them in fact, and then exploiting them like he is doing right here with his Brotherhood of the Lance alongside his Very Cataphracts to shut down that last unit of Gondor cav. Let's go ahead and take a look over here. We can see some of the Isengard cavalry now moving in, looking to menace the flank of the High Elven player. The High Elven player, however, not going to take this on the chin. He's moving forward with his unit of Elder Nobles and his Imladris cav, you can see in the back here, moving up to reinforce them. He wants to defend his catapults. It looks like the High Elves are trying to take a very strong defensive position in this very narrow area. This is not the worst idea. You could definitely hold out here for a long time against an evil faction. However, I think Isengard has the necessary tools in his arsenal because of his very nicely balanced, very versatile force to put a serious hurt on the High Elves in this very narrow area. He's got the missiles to do it for sure. He's got AP. He's got the archers to take down the Noratirna, who are going to be bunched up in this hallway. And I'm sorry about that. I had a little bit of a lag spike. And yeah, this is, I think, going to prove to be in the long run a mistake for the High Elven player. It looks like we have a little bit of a cavalry engagement over here. These Imladris cavalry charging into battle against the Champions of the White Hand. This is not going to be a fight that these Imladris cavalry are going to win very easily. Over here, these not Imladris nobles, these Eldarinway nobles, charging into battle against the Warg Riders is a little bit more in favor of the High Elves. These Eldarinway nobles from the front in a straight fight will decimate these Warg Riders, though they are surrounded. But even surrounded like this, these guys are more than capable of fighting their way out of this Warg attack. At the same time, this is a really nice move on the part of Stefan 2110. He is bringing his 3rd unit of Warg Riders around to attack some of the softer parts of the High Elven army, namely this catapult. If he can wipe this out, then this defensive position here is going to lose a lot of its appeal, I think, to the High Elven player who may be forced to reposition himself. Look at that, a nice charge going into that catapult there, just scything through these poor catapult crewmen who just don't have what it takes to fight wargs in close combat. He is moving in some of his very powerful spearmen. You got some Phallus Lords here backing up a charge from the Eldarinway spearmen, but Stefan is just going to quickly dance out of that gap and manage to escape without taking too many casualties. Yeah, those poor spearmen are not going to be fast enough. They might catch some of these Warg Riders, though. If they can kill enough of them, they will rout them. The Wargs have quite weak morale. It's one of their bigger weaknesses, I think. So the Warg Riders now charging into the rear of the Eldarinway nobles. This is why it is a good idea to bring more than 2 units of cavalry if you plan to be aggressive, because if the other player has more, they can run circles around you, which is exactly what Stefan is doing to the High Elven cavalry at this point. Big charge in the rear. These Eldarinway nobles not going to be able to stand up to it. Like I said, in a straight fight, they can beat the wargs. You can see how badly they destroyed that one unit. But a charge from the rear, they cannot stand up to it, none at all. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at how the matchup between Gondor and Rhûn is going. Looks like it's really not in favor of the Gondorians. There's a lot of dead Dolian Rothman at arms here. This unit now down to a meager 15. Looks like they just took a huge flank charge from that Brotherhood of the Lance. Over here we've got a unit of Swan Knights down to a mere 6. Gondor out in the field really having a hard time. He's pursuing with some of his spearmen right here, but the runic cataphracts are going to be able to dance away very, very quickly. It looks... I'm wondering where that third unit of cataphracts is. His Brotherhood of the Lance there. Okay, I see. And the other very healthy unit of cataphracts coming in to finish off this poor unit of Dole Rough Men-at-Arms. This is very unfortunate. These guys really don't have an answer to this, I think. Though they may just scoot right by them. No, I think they're gonna clip the unit just a little bit here. They're just trying to avoid them. They're really more of a speed bump at this point. Those Dole Rough Men-at-Arms are too heavily reduced to really be any threat to the runic forces at this point. So Gondor is in a bit of a pickle. He's trying to fall back here and form a defensive line. There's a big charge now coming into the rear by these cataphracts, who it looks like they changed their mind, but now they're going to go for it again. Perhaps a little bit of pathfinding issue. Medieval 2 is quite an old game, so that doesn't happen from time to time. Oh man, look at that charge. Right through those unprepared, unbraced Gondorian infantry. They're just going to pierce through his lines right into the heart of his army. This is really unfortunate. He's got an opportunity here to bring these guards of Osgiliath, though, into the fray, but these runic cataphracts, after punching this massive hole in the Gondorian lines, are going to be able to just scoot away and not really take too many casualties in return. There's a couple of the cataphracts that fell in battle, but really nothing compared to the Gondorian casualties. Look at that, just a heap of dead Gondorians. Over on this side, Rhûn is still prodding for weaknesses in the Gondorian line, looking for another opening here to begin to punch through their lines and to potentially take out some of their more important units like his coastal wardens. The biggest thing I think that he has going for him right now is that he's still got these spikes in the middle of his army. So perhaps a decent idea would be to move his move his catapult right here over onto this side, so they are protected from any potential cavalry charges through his lines here, at least on one side. And then over here he can afford, I think, to commit a few more forces. So that's definitely something you want to take a look at in your own battles, is that if you can use terrain and features like this to your advantage to help you get the advantage over your opponent. Over here, the same thing going on the other side. These very cataphracts punching right through these Dole Rough Men-at-Arms who just don't have an answer, and they're going to fall by the dozens, and these cataphracts are going to be able to scoot away, having taken very minimal casualties. Although there might be a few more on the retreat here, because he does have some archers in position to deal damage to them. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at the Isengard High Elven matchup. Looks like most of the High Elven cavalry was absolutely butchered here. I don't think there's too many of them left. There is just surprisingly enough, the Elandra's cavalry is the one that made it out of that scrap alive. Only about 8 of them left, but still enough, I think, to be a little bit irritating. Oh, never mind, there are some Elderly nobles still left. So the High Elven player really only is down to a handful of cav, whereas Isengard definitely came out on top in that engagement. We're going ahead and we're going to speed it up to about normal speed here, and we can see Rhûn now moving in with the rest of his army, the main body of his army, coming forward to attack the Gondorians. I think he's going to pin them in place essentially with his cataphracts, because they're not able to move, not able to respond to these constant cavalry charges, and the runic crossbowmen are going to move forward and take full advantage of this, I think. These Gondorian spearmen look like they're in shield wall, or they may just be getting into it now, which is going to help them stand up a little bit better against those missile attacks. But this constant cavalry charging here is really starting to take a toll, I think, on the Gondorians. The runic cataphracts looking to get into the rear, possibly to disrupt this catapult. I think that would be devastating for Gondor. This catapult is in a good position. It's already ready to fire. So once Rhûn moves into position, with this blocky formation, he will be able to poke some holes in it, but not if he loses it to these cataphracts in the rear. Yeah, we're just going to... Wow, sorry, I lost my words today. We're going to slow it down just a little bit here so we can keep pace with the action. These cataphracts in the back here are really isolated. Unfortunately, they are within range of some of Gondor's more powerful archers. He's trying to kind of meet up here and really go for a hard punch into the Gondorian center. And Gondor has left a big gap in his line here. There's not really a whole lot that he could do about this. He doesn't have enough troops, I think, to completely encircle himself. But honestly, it could also be a plan on his part as well. Maybe he wants to draw their cavalry in here. He still has some Haven Guard and some General's Bodyguard. He would be in position to do that, but he does still have to deal with another unit, Brotherhood of the Lance, moving over there on that other flank. So things looking really grim for Gondor. And it looks like the missile bombardment is beginning to get underway here. This poor line of spearmen really having a hard time. But look at this! Oh, a nice shot with that catapult, carving out the heart of a couple of units here. One of these units of Look Like Rhûn alongside his Balkoth tribesmen, taking a ton of damage. So Rhûn kind of sees the problem that he's in here. Oh, look at this! A big charge coming in from the Elandra's cavalry, looking to take down some of these clan crossbowmen. lending Gondor a little bit of help. Probably not the worst idea. His cavalry wasn't going to be too effective over there. They're kind of bottled up in that little kind of choke point area. But over here, they can disrupt Rhûn a little bit, throw a bit of a wrench into the Easterlings' plans. And I think that's a really nice way to look part of the High Elves. Because Rhûn is definitely in control on this battlefield and want to try and take down as many of them as possible. Another nice catapult shot there, claiming the lives of a few of the heavy infantry alongside the Valkov tribesmen. Getting a lot of use out of that catapult. Hopefully he'll be able to get a few more volleys off before the Runic forces overrun the Gondorian position, which is very, very untenable at this point. I think he's moving a little bit too far forward here. Moving his catapult within range of the Runic skirmishers is going to prove to be a big mistake, which could result in the death of these catapult crewmen. A couple of them have already gone down to stray crossbow bolts, so yeah, he's definitely going to want to watch his positioning, I think, a little bit more. Over here, a big charge coming in from the Very High Cataphracts. Sorry, I had a little bit of a lag spike there. Very High Cataphracts now charging right into these coastal wardens who are having a ton of a hell of a time trying to push these guys back. They are at least in loose formation, so they're not going to take too much damage from these cataphracts. Over here on the other side, these guys are charging through this gap into the rear of this general's bodyguard, and are taking down quite a lot of them. Look at this. Oh, never mind. Those are actually the Very High Cataphracts who are getting themselves into trouble. And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. These Very High Cataphracts saw a gap, charged into it, and are going to find themselves kind of trapped here behind enemy lines. And it looks like this unit of Very High Cataphracts is now breaking, thanks to this general's bodyguard turning around to face them alongside this axeman of Lasarnak. So that's a big setback, I think, for the Runic player. Over here, this now understrength unit of Very High Cataphracts trying to retreat from that battle, but the Gondorian missiles are within range to begin to put down a little bit of suppressing fire in them as they try to retreat. Over here, the Brotherhood of the Lance looking to do the exact same thing, but I think this is just throwing good money after bad at this point. These guys are going to be able to charge right through those Lasarnak axemen right into the Haven Guard, and Rhûn is going to lose his general for his trouble. And the result is that these guys are going to be a little bit stuck here, and if he's not careful, these guys could begin to rout as well. They are now shaken, so this could happen, but it looks like they are going to be able to escape from there, having taken just a few casualties. Not many, but unfortunately his general was one of them. They did manage to get into that Haven Guard, not really doing a ton of damage. Actually, no, they did a fair amount of damage to those poor Haven Guard, charging right through those Lasarnak axemen. They're coming back for another round, but this might prove to be a bit of a mistake here, because he is now going to be pinned. If the Gondor player moves in his Haven Guard, he will be able to do a lot of damage to these guys. Look at this. They are now trapped. He has an opportunity here to surround this Runic Cataphract unit and destroy them completely. Let's go ahead, move over here, and see how things are going for the Isengard High Elf matchup. The High Elves being very defensive at this point. Looks like a bit of a cavalry charge here across the lives of a few of the High Elven spearmen alongside at least one knight of Eregin. But the Northern Tier are already in position, beginning to rain hell down upon the Uruk-hai crossbows and those pikes as they move into position as well. You can see a lot of dead Uruk-hai here. And now that catapult beginning to open up. Oh, missing most of them, I think. Only claiming the life of one unlucky pikeman. But we could start to see the High Elves really pull the battle back in their favor here. This is a very, very intimidating formation. This is the kind of formation that breaks armies. It's got a unit here that he could potentially use to flank if Isengard doesn't commit all of his forces, or if Isengard commits all of his forces to one area. He will be able to flank. He's still got some archers in position to rain death and destruction upon the Isengard as they move in. This is a really strong defense position. This catapult, I think, is the worst of it. Let's move over here. Back to the Rhûn Gondor confrontation. It looks like Gondor has now sallied forward with his spearmen. I guess he's kind of tired of just being shot up, which he doesn't really have a whole lot of options at this point. Although he had a little bit more, he could have fallen back and tried to reform, since he's now dealt with, I think, the Runic cavalry for the most part. His Brotherhood of the Lance, though, never mind. They are still in business and still wreaking havoc in the back of his lines. His poor axemen of Lasarnak have really just taken the brunt of these charges, which is not a terrible use for them either. They are kind of a throwaway cheap fodder unit. So if you can get them killed in the place of something more important, then ultimately I think that's going to be not a gain, but less of a loss for you than it would otherwise be. Another big charge coming in here from the Very High Cataphracts, who are getting a little bit entangled on those rocks, so that's unfortunate for them, which is going to disrupt their charge. And they're going to walk right into these Gondorians, and they're already shaken. They don't like this fight at all. Somehow they managed to just kind of walk right through, which is a little bit confusing to me. I guess it's because these spearmen were not trying to fight them. They're trying to walk the other direction. And I'm not sure what these guys are doing, but it looks like they've gotten themselves routed now. There's some missile fire coming in from the Gondorian archers. So things starting to turn around in favor of Gondor in terms of this fight over here. The Runic the Runic cavalry in general, starting to run out of steam and really not able to be the menace that they once were. But unfortunately for Gondor, he has really committed hard to this fight. He is managing to push back Rhûn, at least on this side where the spearmen are involved, but over here in the center, he has been broken. These Gondor spearmen now fleeing for their lives in the face of these overwhelming odds here. There's a lot of golden boys, so Gondor's going to have to move in very quickly if he wants to preserve what's left of his infantry force. A big hammer and anvil charge, rather, going into the rear of these poor Gondorians, who are just suffering so badly at the hands of the Runic forces. These Brotherhood of the Lance still in business, still running around, still being a menace. It looks like they have a new target now, that being the Ithilien Rangers. So Gondor really needs to be, I think, aggressive with his cavalry. He's got the cavalry to shut down these Brotherhood of the Lance. These General's Bodyguard are no slouches in combat, but I think he needs to be a little bit more careful with his micro here. His poor Ithilien Rangers just kind of standing out in the open and taking now a big charge from those cataphracts, although they are running away at the last minute, managing to preserve their numbers. Only a few of them, I think, are going to fall. But he has an opportunity here to move in with his guards of Gilead, try and pin these guys in place, or circle around, come through this little stake wall here. That's what they're called, stakes. There you go. With his General's Bodyguard and pin these Brotherhood of the Lance. Oh, no, be careful. Please be careful. Oh, that was sad. That was really sad. That poor bannerman falling in a fairly inglorious fashion. And so these Runic Cataphract couldn't be able to get away. The Gondorians now too far behind, I think, to be able to catch them. And the Runic players just moving in with the rest of his infantry. At the same time, it's a really nicely coordinated assault here by rules to break the morale of these Gondorians. So they're being hit on two sides at once by infantry, and at the same time, there's Brotherhood of the Lance coming in to charge them in the rear. Oh, no. Oh, friendly fire. It's going to happen. Good thing that wasn't his general. But a nice catapult shot there, taking down a ton of those Lokflag. These guys are really bunched up and really vulnerable to that catapult. If that catapult can get another volley off, that I think we could start to see some of the Runic infantry there be absolutely destroyed very, very quickly. But I think Rhûn sees what kind of danger he's in, so he's now moving in with a unit of his Brotherhood of the Lance to silence that catapult, and that's exactly what I think he's going to have the opportunity to do. Let's move over here and let's take a look at the High Elf Isengard matchup. So far, the lines have not met yet. Stefan is just moving his pikemen into position, trying to soak up a little bit of the ammunition, I think, of the Elven player. He's got his crossbows and his archers focusing down the Landor Scars here at the same time. The High Elf is doing the same thing to his Uruk-hai pikemen. So it's not going to come down to a pike battle. I think it's just going to come down to a little bit of skirmishing here for a little while. And unfortunately, Isengard, though, does not have any artillery, which I think is going to play against him in this particular matchup. The High Elves have taken this really nice defense position and really dug their heels in, so it's not going to be easy for the Isengarders to break through, but I think they have the troops to do it. Over here we have the Gondorian Bodyguard going for glory here. Not the best matchup, though. These Clan Guard are AP, they are anti-cavalry, and they are backed up by Lok Scion Rim, so I think he needs to be a little bit more careful here with his General's Bodyguard. This is a very important unit that he could be using to great effect now, especially since I don't think there's any Runic cavalry left anywhere. There's the Brotherhood of the Lance still around. These guys just won't frickin' die. But it looks like he's now charging in to his Immortal Rangers, looking to silence this very elite, very expensive Gondorian unit. And this Haven Guard now charging into combat, looking to destroy these Brotherhood of the Lance. These guys have caused so many problems for the Gondorians. I would not blame him at all if he wanted to completely be done with these guys. He did manage to silence the catapult in its entirety, though, which is unfortunate for the Runic player. I don't know if he realizes that, or if he's just trying to maneuver himself into a better position to get a final rear charge off on that Gondorian catapult and finish it off once and for all. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to speed up just a little bit here. See some javelins now coming in to the rear of this Brotherhood of the Lance unit. If any of those hit him, there's some missiles as well, but if any of those javelins hit them from the rear, that could be an instant kill right there. This Brotherhood of the Lance probably down to their last hit point at this point, I would imagine. Looks like Gondor still has some infantry, though. He is managing to kind of reform some of his warriors. He hasn't lost his general yet, so these guys will reform if there's enough of them and if given the chance. And it looks like he's going to have that chance. He's Gondor infantry now moving forward, looking to take on these Lok Scion Rim and these Clan Guard. There's not a lot of Gondor infantry, but they are quite strong. And I think that if they can deny these Clan Guard the charge, then they will be able to do a lot of damage to these Runic warriors, despite their low numbers. Over here, though, we can see the runic crossbowmen, rather, moving in, looking to put a little bit of pressure, I think, on probably the rear of these guards of Osgiliath, who are still menacing the cavalry in the back here, and potentially the rest of the elements of Gondor's army that are present over here. These coastal wardens just kind of moving forward. It looks like maybe a micro mistake on the part of Predemeister. I don't think he saw that these guys were so close to these clan crossbowmen. This would not be a terrible time to stop and toss a volley of javelins into these clan crossbows before charging in with those coastal wardens. The coastal wardens aren't bad in melee. They're certainly better than these clan crossbowmen, and with a little bit of javelin volleys, that could really turn the fight around in favor of them. But now that these coastal wardens are moving in, they are going to be able to silence these clan crossbows, so at least half of his crossbow line here not going to be able to fire, not going to be able to do to fulfill the function that Rûl's brought them up for in the first place. Over here, a little bit of a micro mistake, it would appear. Rûl normally has a really nice micro, but these Brotherhood of the Lance just not really doing a whole lot, and about to take a big charge in the rear by the Haven Guard. Let's see if they manage to connect. I need to know. Oh, yes, look at this. Beautiful charge in the rear by those Haven Guard, and like half of that unit is going to be destroyed. Look at that. Total devastation for the Brotherhood of the Lance, and that micro mistake really costing the Runic player his biggest advantage. Over in the back here, these General's Bodyguards still just running amok. Looks like oh wow, they destroyed that Runic catapults, and they are now in to the Balcoth Tribesmen, silencing more of Rhûn's missile units. Rhûn is in a little bit of disarray at this point. We saw a very nice ordered advance, very well-timed assaults earlier in the battle, but it looks like Rhûn is kind of falling behind a little bit here, and getting themselves kind of caught out in the open. Look at this, an advance now from the Gondorians. These guards of Osgiliath looking to contain this huge unit of Runic heavy infantry. These coastal wardens now running for their lives. There's enough of them left, though. They may reform as long as the Gondor general stays alive. But these guards of Osgiliath are formidable pikemen, and they're taking these guys in like the worst possible way. These guys are kind of like in a column formation, so they're not able to use their numbers to overlap this formation and to get many of their men fighting at the same time. Over here, the Gondor infantry, we're going to slow it down just a little bit. The Gondor infantry really beating back these clan guard, and they're now about to get flanked by the Osgiliath pikemen. So Gondor actually has they have rallied here, and they're beginning to push back Rhûn, which is really impressive. Look at this. Defeat seems certain for this huge group of troops here. The only saving grace for Rhûn is that these 3 or 4 units here are now free to move in and flank this large body of Osgiliath soldiers here. But I think that Rhûn is going to pay for this mistake here quite grievously before these units are able to shut down those Osgiliath pikemen, who pretty much don't rout. They have like almost locked morale, I would think. Over here, it looks like the Uruk-hai have now moved in, looking to take on the Elder Runaway Spearmen. Over here, these poor Imlandris guards not able to hold the line any longer. I think they've been just devastated by constant volleys of bolt fire from the Isengarders, and now this front line beginning to crumble. These trolls of the White Hand have just pushed right through in amongst the catapult. They've now silenced the High Elven catapult. I think that they've completely destroyed it. In fact, I don't see the crew anywhere. Though I don't see their bodies either, but maybe they're kind of mixed in here alongside these Elder Runaway Spearmen, rather. But yeah, the Isengarders really doing a nice job here at punching through this High Elven formation, better than I would have expected, because the High Elves, especially on the defensive, when you corner Elves, I mean, you were asking for a massacre, but the Isengarders, I think, are really doing a great job of busting through this heavily armored defensive line. At the same time, it looks like their skirmishers have now turned their attention to this No Return to Warriors, and this is what I was afraid of in the first place. These guys are kind of just, they're stuck in this hallway, and there's really nowhere for them to go. They can't spread out, so they are very vulnerable to counterfire. There's still quite a lot of them left. The High Elven skirmishers definitely still in the game, but you can see a ton. Just look at this devastation here. This is really unfortunate. They're just not able to avoid it because they can't spread out. Let's go ahead and let's take a look over here. Gondor, it would appear, is... Oh, wow, look at this. The Gondorian spearmen have charged into this massive group of runic infantry, preventing them from coming to the aid of their brothers over here. These Osgiliath pikemen really reaping a terrible toll amongst the ranks of these Lokeflag Rim. This is not how you want to lose them. And look at this. These coastal wardens, rather, have now reformed and are tossing javelins into this huge blob of runic warriors. This is really turning into a massacre for the Rhûn player over on this side. He does have some options here. If he moves these Brotherhood of the Axe, which appears that he is doing, into the flank of this Gondorian infantry, it will be enough to rout them. He's also got some Lokesai on rim and some javelins here that he could potentially use to flank around, hit these guys. Like, if he positioned them right here, he'd be able to flanking fire them and devastate this line. Or he could use them to shut down his coastal wardens, or just bring them in from the rear. But he's risking hitting his own troops, I think, if he brings them in from the rear. So he's got some options, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like Rules is capitalizing on them right now, which is a little bit unfortunate. Let's move back over here and see how the High Elves are doing. They're now shifting some of their forces back over this way, seeing how busy Rhûn and Gondor are slaughtering each other right now. Moving some of his reserves in to try and push these guys back. These Trolls of the White Hand beginning to run out of steam. They are almost spent at this point. And they're fighting, I think, Smiths of Erogen, which is not an easy fight for anybody, even Trolls. And they're slowly beginning to be pushed back. I think the tide is now turning in favor of the High Elves. This is tiny little pocket of Imladris guards here, holding the line against overwhelming odds, trying to form some kind of like miniature Schiltrom formation. Just not able to really be too effective, though. Out of formation and surrounded on all sides by Uruk-hai. Oh, man. Just look at the arrows rain from the sky here. More and more of these Northern warriors are falling. But, actually, you know what? It's just the first rank here. The first rank is being devastated, but there is still 2 healthy units in the back. I don't know how many missiles the Isengarders really have at this point. After dealing that much damage to the High Elven skirmishers and devastating that front line as well. See some javelin volleys here. Look at this. These Snogger skirmishers really paying for themselves, throwing some javelin volleys into the flank of the Smiths of Erogen. Says that defeat is now certain for these guys, and that is because they are just not in formation. They're super scattered and taking a ton of missile fire. And Isengard, I think, has a fairly healthy force left at this point. Oh, no. No, he does not. Isengard has taken a lot of damage. This assault here is proving to be, I think, a bit of a mistake for the Isengarders. He's used up most of his line infantry at this point. He's still got a lot of his elites. He's still got some berserkers over here, some guards of the Orthanc, and some Uruk-hai bodyguards. I think he's still got his Naz guys somewhere as well. And he's still got his cav and his skirmishers, but his line infantry have been absolutely destroyed at this point. But ultimately, I think it's probably for the best. He's done a lot of damage to these High Elves, forced them to commit some of their reserves and to expose themselves to further arrow fire here. These Mithlond nobles really asking for a few arrow volleys. Same with those Phallus lords. So ultimately, I think this is actually still in favor of the Isengarders. They've got the numbers, they've got the elites, and they've definitely got the AP with those berserkers, those wardens of Dunland, and the Naz guys still in the battle. A little bit unfortunate about his trolls, but this is what trolls are supposed to be for. So you need to throw them into lines, try and break them up, and support them as best you can. Oh, looks like a little bit of friendly fire gunning down that poor unit of trolls right there. Oh, that poor troll, killed by his own teammates. But let's move back over here. It looks like Gondor is now finally being overrun. Rhûn has broken through on this side. He's now able to surround the Osgiliath pikemen on 3 sides. These coastal wardens have been routed. Those Gondor infantry have been destroyed or routed off the field. And this is really the end of the Gondorian forces. So we're going to head and we're going to speed it up just a little bit. And witness the end here for Gondor. They're fighting hard, though. Look at this. These Osgiliath spearmen are not giving up at all. And they've done a ton of damage to this Loke-Flagram. Holy crap. Look at this. They've done, I think, 40 casualties to this unit and, 60 or so to this one. These Brotherhood of the Axe, they've taken some fairly light casualties here, but this was really unexpected. Gondor was being dominated for almost the entirety of this matchup, but he really rallied and managed to bring his forces together and catch these runic troops here, who are maybe, I don't know, maybe they thought they had the victory in the bag, so they weren't too prepared, I think, for Gondor to sally forth and attack them like that. In the rear here, it looks like these clan crossbowmen trying to chase down one final unit of Ithilien Rangers. It'll be interesting to see if these guys escape this little matchup here and manage to get clear of this struggle. Rhûn can't really run them down except with his infantry. These guys are fresh, whereas these crossbows are now very tired. He doesn't have the cavalry to fight these guys. I don't think he has any cavalry left at this point. Maybe he has just very few, and I just can't see them. But it looks like everyone's cavalry on this side has been cleared out. Oh, nope, never mind. Look at this. 3. He's got 3 units of Brotherhood of the Lance. His Brotherhood of the Lance just will not die. They're now down to a mere 3, however. Not enough, I think, to take on 50 Ithilien Rangers, and looks like some coastal wardens as well. So Gondor still has a fairly capable harassing force here. What it comes down to, I think it's going to be a Rhûn-Isengard matchup. He's going to be able to potentially turn the tide in favor of Isengard. And indeed, why wouldn't he? He probably wants a little bit of revenge here against the Easterlings. It looks like Isengard is now moving in with his ward companies, probably looking to give Rhûn the same treatment that he gave Gondor, and they're going after, what is this? Oh my goodness, I didn't even see this. No, these guys must have been hidden during the deployment phase. But Rules actually had some hidden reserve units here. A couple units of Camel Shadow Guard. These guys are AP anti-cavalry. Definitely not a fight these Warg Riders want to take straight on, I think. But looks like the Wargs aren't too interested in that engagement. They are going to going to charge into these High Elves, try and thin out this line a little bit here, but the High Elves are going to stand firm. These guys have really nice spearmen, really high mass, not easy to break through. Looks like Rhûn is going to try and capitalize on this. Look at this, coming in with a unit of his Shadow Guard, looking to get into the rear of those Warg Riders. I wonder if they're going to be able to escape. Oh, they are going to get clipped a little bit with a charge coming in from the rear now from the other unit of Warg Riders. Stefan really showing some nice micro skills here, managing to get his Warg Riders clear of that. Look at this, they only took one casualty in the retreat, and at the same time dealing a lot of damage to those Camel Shadow Guard with a beautiful rear charge. Rules, though, I think sees that as a hopeless situation and is now trying to retreat his one full-strength unit of Camel Shadow Guard. Oh, look at this. Nice charge. Oh, that wasn't even a charge. That was a feint. Coming in for the rear now with his healthier unit of Wargs, devastating that Camel Shadow Guard unit. Really unfortunate for the Rhûn player. I think this is the biggest setback that he's suffered so far. These are very elite, very expensive units, and yeah, to lose them like that, I think is a little bit unfortunate. So Rules decides that it's not worth it to fight those cavalry, and instead he's going to move in to take on the High Elves. And I think Stefan's probably okay with that. He's now pulling away from that engagement, letting these two foes here duke it out, which is, I think, would definitely prove to be in his favor. He doesn't want to lose any more of his wargs than he has to. Those Camel Shadow Guard really did a number on at least one or two of his units, even though they took much greater casualties in return. Rhûn now has reformed his lines, getting some semblance of order back within his force. He's still looking really good. Look at this. These two depleted units of Look-Flag Rim here took a lot of damage to the last stand of Gondor's forces, but this one over here, still 185 in the other unit, still got a lot of clan guards, still has his Brotherhood of the Axe, and that's a very scary unit to have at this late point in the battle. He's also got some Balkov tribesmen who I don't think have been used at this point. Rules is doing a really nice job here, I think, at conserving his ammunition and keeping them saved and keeping them safe for a very long time, right down to the end of the battle, which is going to prove, I think, to be decisive. These poor Camel Shadow Guard having a really hard time, I think, against these High Elven Spearmen. They've done pretty well, though. I think they've managed to take down like almost 20 of them, which is really impressive. Just goes to show you just how powerful these Camel Shadow Guard are. And he's still got another unit left to throw against the High Elves. Over here, it looks like Isengard is now moving in with some of his archers and his crossbows to begin to skirmish with the runic forces. He's definitely got, I think, the advantage there. I don't know if he has any ammunition left, but the runic player does not have any cataphracts or any cavalry to counter a prolonged skirmishing bombardment, which I think could prove to be very devastating against this tightly packed formation. Let's see how Isengard is just doing generally, though. They're kind of petering out a little bit here. They're managing to break through the High Elven forces. His Nori Tyrno now going face-to-face against his Wardens of Dunland. Not going to be a fight that they will win. These Snagga skirmishers now, I assume, out of ammunition, looking to flank these elves as well. Isengard is definitely going to break through here, but he's going to run into a snag with these Phallus Lords. I think the best option for Isengard at this point is to try and fight the runic player and keep his cavalry as intact as possible. Because if he uses his cavalry well and keeps them alive, when it comes down to it, if he defeats Rhûn, which I think he can do, he will be able to just run down the Phallus Lords with a lot of hammer and anvil charges. Over here, though, what do we got? The Uruk-hai bodyguard now just smashing their way here through what remains of the High Elven heavy infantry. The High Elves really struggling at this point. They took a strong defensive position here, like I said earlier, but it's ultimately proved to be their downfall because they were so immobile and so sticky in this area that Isengard was really able to take advantage of that and butcher his Nori Tyrno. Look at this. That is devastation. Over here, these Nori Tyrno fighting hard against a crossbow unit. It looks like they're winning despite the fact that these crossbows are more heavily armored than the Nori Tyrno. I think the Nori Tyrno have a much higher defense bonus, though, which is going to allow them to parry those blows from the crossbowmen and eventually push them back. Over here, these Uruk-hai archers, I think he's just kind of... Oh, yeah, I guess they are out of ammunition, so he's just kind of throwing them into the front of the spearmen. I think this is a bad idea. He's going to need all the numbers he can get to take on Rhûn. Rhûn is still there. Rhûn is very patient. Look at this. He's just waiting. He is biding his time. And I think only together will they be able to take down the Easterlings. So the High Elves have now broken that Isengard assault, sending these crossbowmen and these archers now fleeing for the hills. Well, these guys aren't routed, surprisingly enough. Looks like Isengard just tried to pull out. Rhûn is now moving in his forces, probably to take on the Phallus Lords, but I don't think Stefan really wants to give him the opportunity. Who is now moving in with some of his Warg Riders, although this is not the best time to do that. He still has his Scion Rim and his infantry in a position to support these guys, so this is, I think, going to be a futile gesture on the part the Isengarders. Although this is a nice move. Look at this. Distracting them with one unit of Warg Riders while he moves in from the rear with his other two. Such... Ooh, a little bit of a spike there. Such nice cav micro on the part of the Isengarders. Look at this. Now moving in to take on those Balcott tribesmen, just devastating the skirmishing units of Rhûn right now. Some of these clan crossbowmen really not having a good time. They're actually thinking of routing off the field. Rhûn now charging in en masse with his infantry, trying to scare these Isengarders off, and looks like he's going to be successful in that regard, managing to rout this unit of 16 Warg Riders. I think Isengard still has his general, though, so these guys may reform at some point. The Champions of the White Hand here doing a really nice job at shutting down what remains of the Brotherhood of the Lance. This Brotherhood of the Lance, though, still managing to escape. These guys just won't frickin' die. And that unfortunately opens up the Isengarders to a javelin volley from these Balcott tribesmen looking to get a little bit of revenge for their fallen brothers. I think now would be a good time to move him with his infantry, which is exactly what Stefan is doing. He's got his crossbows and his throwaway units on the front lines, followed by his elites. I still got these Guards of the Orthanc who are very good in melee combat, these Wardens of Dunland, and some Nazgai as well. Over here, I don't know what Isengard is doing. Looks like some of the pikemen here getting embroiled in a fight against those Phallus Lords, and going to get themselves skewered as a result. He's going to break through very shortly here with his Uruk-hai bodyguard and be able to come to the aid of the rest of his army. He's definitely outnumbered, I think, in terms of his infantry, but he's done so much damage. Look at that. Those cavalry charges were just devastating to the runic lines. That unit of Camel Shadow Guard down to 79, and there's just so many dead javelin men over here. And he's still got cavalry. Look at this. 7 units of Champions of the White Hands and 16 units of Warg Riders who have now come back from routing. Oh, look at this. He's still got another unit over here as well. 9 units of Warg Riders. So Rhûn is about to get the same treatment, I think, that he gave Gondor. The tables have definitely turned for Rules and his Easterlings, and we might start to see this army crumble very quickly. Looks like he still has some missile units, which is very surprising. I think Rhûn still has some as well. These crossbows here looking to load their bows and unleash devastation upon these heavily armored infantry as they move in. But oh wow, these Uruk-hai archers, these poor archers have now routed off the field. Just not able, I think, to stand against heavy infantry for so long. But Isengard now moving in with his unit of Guards of the Orthanc, who are going to be able to stand up. Oh, sorry about that. Stand up much better to these Loxai on Rim, and be able to hold these guys down long enough, I think, for Stefan to work a little bit of magic. In the back here, a big charge coming in from the Champions of the White Hand. They are losing a lot of their troops, though, in that charge, but they've done a lot of damage to the Camel Shadow Guard as well. I think this is going to be the last action we see from the Champions of the White Hand, now down to a mere 2. I don't see the other one. I think the Champions of the White Hand now would be completely wiped out. So that's a little bit unfortunate for the runic player. These Nazgai over here carving through. Sorry about that. I don't know why it's been like that today. These Nazgai carving through these Lokflag Rim, and at the same time, Stefan is able to move in from the rear with his Warg Riders. He's still got... Oh no, never mind. These guys must have charged in over here against these Lokflag Rim and got themselves destroyed. But in the back here, these Balcott tribesmen taking a huge charge from the Warg Riders, who are now being countercharged by the Clan Guard. If those Warg Riders don't get out of there quickly, he's going to lose what remains of his cavalry, and that'd be a huge loss for the Isengarders. He's able to get out without those guys routing, which is a big deal, I think, for Stefan and his Warg Riders. These Camel Shadow Guard now in hot pursuit, looking to take down that cavalry unit, but I don't think they're going to have the opportunity. These Warg Riders being very, very sneaky. Moving now onto the other flank, probably going for a hammer and anvil against these Lokflag Rim. Stefan is really making the most of his low numbers, I think, and really using his cavalry to great effect. Although, I think this is a mistake right here. These Lokflag Rim were definitely prepared for it. I think he's trying to silence those crossbows because he realizes just how much damage they can do. But yes, this is definitely the better option. These Warg Riders not really getting an effective charge, though, and they're going to have to try and pull out very quickly before they rout, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Oh, maybe. Okay, so he's still got his Warg Riders. Still has an opportunity here to crush these Lokflag Rim, which will give his Wardens of Dunland the opportunity to come over and support the Uruk-hai crossbows here and his Guards of the Orthanc. They definitely need it. He needs this flank charge here to start to roll up the runic line. But his Warg Riders being pulled out. Looks like I'm not sure what they're going for at this point. But you know what I want to know? I want to know where Gondor is. So let's go ahead and let's slow this down just a little bit. We know that Gondor had some forces still left over, and I think they're hanging out back here. not really doing a whole lot. Maybe the Predameister has given up at this point and opted to just flee the battle instead of harassing the back of the runic line. So I think that would be very unfortunate. Over here, these Warg Riders, they're surrounded. This is going to be the end of them, I think. They're not going to be able to get out of there in time. One of their number is going to go down. They're going to get just embroiled in a constant melee here with these Lokeflag Ram, which is going to be enough to break them. So now, oh wow, look at this. So he's now broken those units in the center, and he's now bringing his Loke Scion Ram. That was a little bit unexpected. I didn't expect these Loke Scion Ram rather to abandon their post here against these Orthanc Spearmen. These Orthanc Spearmen will cut through these Loke Scion Rim if given the time, and I think they're going to have the time right now. These Wardens of Dunland, though, getting a little bit surrounded. This is really, really bad for them. Rules is going to take advantage of this misstep here and move in from the rear with his clan crossbows, probably to pepper these Wardens of Dunland from the rear where they are most vulnerable. Over here we can see some of the Uruk-hai bodyguards have now broken through what remains of the High Elven heavy infantry and are coming in, possibly to support those Wardens of Dunland, but he may just kind of double down here on the center where he is already winning, destroy them, and maybe move in to surround these guys. I think the best move would be to make a fairly wide formation here, which would allow you to surround this blob of Lokeflag Rim with this very powerful unit. He's now routed a unit of crossbows, which is a nice victory for him, but he needs to get in there and support those Wardens of Dunland. I think these guys will be able to hold out for long enough if he moves in quickly to beat back these Lokeflag Rim and keep them there long enough for the Guards of the Orthanc on the other side to cut through these Loke Scion Rim and move in for a complete surround of what remains of runic infantry. Over here we've got a small unit of clan crossbows who are wavering. Anything comes near these guys and sneezes in their direction, these guys will red off the field. I think we're going to see an Isengard victory here. The runic infantry is really struggling to hold back these Isengarders. The Nazgûl now in combat against the Shadow Guard. As we've seen, the Shadow Guard are powerful, but they are not strong enough to stand up to the Nazgûl. So Rhûn is losing over here. He is winning sort of over here, but it's more kind of in the balance. If these Wardens of Dunland, though, are destroyed, then the runic player may be able to wrap around these bodyguards. But there's just so many of them left at this point, I don't think it's going to make a big difference. Over here, though, Rules has put his crossbows in a really nice spot to put down some flanking fire against the Isengarders. That's probably why these Wardens of Dunland here are struggling so hard against the Golden Boys, because there's so much missile fire coming in support of this infantry body that there's really nothing that they can do. Oh, wow. Some crossbow shots now going into the Uruk-hai bodyguards. That is going to turn the tide of this battle really big time in favor of Rhûn. So they need to finish with the Scion Rim over here. Apparently victory is certain for them, which is... It says victory is certain for both sides. No, that's impossible. Not everyone can win. It's not like a second-grade soccer tournament. Not everybody can get a ribbon for participating. These Loke Scion Rim, I think, are going to lose in the face of these much more numerous spearmen, and they're going to get a rear charge rather here by these Nazgûl, who are going to precipitate their destruction, and then they'll be able to move over to destroy what remains of the Lokeflag Rim. Let's go ahead and let's speed this up just a little bit here and put it on 6 times and watch the devastation unfold. Now, defeat is a distinct possibility for this Loke Scion Rim. They do not like this engagement. It's very unfortunate that the runic player lost his general so early. Oh, look at this. This is a nice move here. Stefan has now moved in what remains of his Uruk-hai archers into the rear of these Lokeflag Rim, giving them the same treatment that they got from the runic player just a moment ago. It looks like the Phallus Lords moved in and destroyed the runic crossbowmen. Oh, such treachery. Much treachery, very betrayal. And these Phallus Lords now in the rear looking to take down these Lokeflag Rim, who are fighting back hard. These Phallus Lords having a really hard time. This is very surprising. I'm not used to seeing Phallus Lords lose like this. And they are just being beaten back quite handily, I think, by the runic infantry, who has now managed to destroy this bodyguard unit. This is very surprising. So Rhûn is managing to pull it back from the brink a little bit here and beat back not only the High Elves, but Isengard at the same time. Although, look at this, we've got the Nazgûl coming in here, who are looking to get a rear charge on what remains of those Loke Scion Rim, and that's going to be enough to change the battle, I think, in favor of the Isengarders. The High Elven General has now fallen. Doesn't matter, these Phallus Lords will fight to the end. There's nothing you can do to make these guys rout, pretty much. I've only ever seen it a handful of times. These Nazgûl actually kind of having troubles. Oh no, they're down to a mere 23. I thought they were being beaten back, but they are slowly carving through what remains of the runic infantry. Over here, these Loke Scion Rim having a hard time still, but they are holding the line. This is really a great example of how well heavy spearmen like this can do in Reforged. A lot of them have 2 HP, and they can just hold the line for ages and ages and ages. The High Elves really have it out for Rhûn, it would seem, moving into the rear of these runic warriors, now breaking them, and that's going to be the end, I think, for the runic player. Isengard definitely in command of the battlefield, although this has been a very bloody struggle, I think. Look at this. Look at the destruction here. Poor Gondor. Actually, Gondor still has forces, though. If he wanted to move in and kind of skirmish a little bit with the Isengarders, if only he was still here, then he could potentially change the tide of this battle. These Orthanc Spearmen, I think, are going to be enough to surround these poor Phallus Lords. I don't know if there's any Nazgûl left at this point. Maybe that's them. Well, that's the Uruk-hai bodyguards. Yeah, some Nazgûl over there in the rear. Looks like Stefan's just kind of getting himself into position for a final charge against these High Elves. I don't know what he's waiting for, though. He's got the advantage here. He's got these guys out of position, and now Shiltrum apparently. I don't know what he's doing with these Nazgûl. Look at this. Now he's bringing them in. Big flank charge, looking for that opportunity, I suppose. Now he's brought in his Nazgûl, and that's going to be the end of these High Elves, and pretty well the end of the battle. Let's slow down just a little bit here, so we can revel a little bit in the Phallus Lords' final stand. Mere 10 of them, now 9, and that's pretty well the end of the battle. Looks like we had a little bit of a desync here, unfortunately, but we can definitely see who the victors in this battle was. The Isengard player came out on top with, I think a lot of it had to do with his army composition. He had a really nicely balanced force, which ultimately won the day for him. I think there was a bit of a crash at the end. That might have been why. We're not going to get a final screen or a casualty screen or whatever. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the battle. And coming up next, we're going to have it's going to be a silly video. We're going to have more of our Wizards Are Dicks series, which is a ongoing kind of fun series between myself, Popelfiduck, and Vislok, who've seen some of my videos. After that, there is going to be more and more replays. In fact, I want to take the time to tell you that there's going to be a new Reforged patch coming out, probably, if not this week, then next week, and with that comes a ton of changes. There's going to be new factions, new balance, new conceptions, I think, for the roles that certain units are going to have on the battlefield. In particular, archers are changing quite a lot, and so is heavy cavalry. But also, there's going to be a tournament. I think that's the coolest part, is that when the patch is released, there's going to be a new tournament announced. So if you guys are interested in joining that tournament, then go ahead and join the official Third Age Reforged Discord. I'm going to put a link for that down in the description for you guys. And if you guys want to watch some of the footage, then I'm going to be putting up my battles on the channel, and we'll also be doing some Twitch streaming as well. But I will let you guys know about that a little bit farther into the future. But yeah, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Take care, everybody.